are making northern Mali a base for terror operations. So let's look at what this all might mean. We're bringing in General Jack Keane, retired four-star general, former Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, and a Fox News military analyst. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here, Patty Ann.
So this week, for the first time ever, the U.S. and Niger signed a status of forces agreement, and that so far is considered the first step in establishing a drone base. But we should emphasize that it is so far not approved by the Pentagon or by the White House or Niger, but defense officials are saying this deal is expected. So what would this mean?
Well, this is pretty significant. They've actually been working on this for some time, almost a year. But I think it's put on fast forward as a result of the Mali operation that the French have been involved in. Right now, the French have no intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance capability. In other words, they have helicopters and they have some fighters, but they have no way to be able to see what the enemy's doing and be able to see it over a period of time. This will give them that capability. Where this base will be located in Niger is it's very close to the operations area in northern Mali. It's actually closer to the operations area in northern Mali than the capital of Mali is to it. So it'll be very significant militarily, and I know the French will appreciate it as well.
Yeah, so for now, we're talking about unarmed drones for ISR only. That's intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. But is there a possibility that down the road this base could eventually use armed drones?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I clearly believe we're heading in that direction. And unstated here, and it's probably, I know it's classified, and it should stay that way, but we know that the Central Intelligence Agency will be conducting operations in certain parts of North Africa. And when they're doing that, they're using armed drones as well. But this is a step in the right direction here, Patty Ann. I mean, the Al-Qaeda have delivered a blow to us in Benghazi, and we have never really responded to it except with an FBI investigation. And this is the first step that we're starting to move in that direction, that the United States is going to be involved. We did have some success in Somalia in the east against the Al-Shabaab terrorists, which is an Al-Qaeda-affiliated organization. But since the rise of Al-Qaeda in North Africa, this is really our first step at pushing back on it.
You know, in general, African countries are uncomfortable about housing U.S. bases because they are terror targets. So why is Niger expressing so much interest in cooperating with the U.S.?
They know what's going on here, Patty Ann, that the terrorists, the AQIM, in northern Mali want to establish a sanctuary. They are so emboldened by what took place in Benghazi and the success achieved there that they decided to move out of that sanctuary and to drive toward the capital city. That is what brought the French in on an emergency basis to intervene, and they have stopped them from doing that. So Niger knows how aggressive the AQIM is and that they intend to conduct operations in the neighboring countries of northern Mali, and Niger sits right there on the border, and they know they're being threatened by it. They're willing to accept the risk of the magnet that a U.S. base is to terrorists, as opposed to the risk of what those terrorists would do overall to their country.
But you say the State Department is overall reluctant to militarize Africa. Why?
Well, when you talk to the people in AFRICOM, that is the combatant command that looks at Africa, military command, regional command as we refer to it, they have had difficulty making military moves in northern Africa, mostly for presence, not to be involved in any fighting, because of the State Department's unwillingness to militarize it. That's their word, not mine. And the fact of the matter is, where we have militarized places to provide presence has led to growth, development, and in some cases, absolute prosperity. True in Europe and certainly true in the Pacific. And so I believe we're going to have a greater presence in northern Africa from AFRICOM, and I think this is a step in the right direction. The command needs more resources, and it absolutely needs more presence in that. Not to be involved in conflict, but to prevent conflict from taking place because of that presence and the assistance that they can provide to the Africans in the countries that are being threatened.
All right, General Jack Keane, thank you so much.
Take care, Patty Ann.